Reformation programs. Thank you very much for coming and joining us today. Shout out for all those who are participating and for all those who are in costumes. Thank you for that. It always makes it so much more fun. We have a kind of a special treat today. We decided to do something a little bit different, a little creative. Our premise today in our show is that this is going to be like a 16th century Good Morning America program. The events of the day and during the Renaissance and what was happening the same year that Luther went to the Diet of Worms, all that we're going to be covering in our program today in each segment. And I hope you all enjoy it. A lot of us have put together a lot of effort in this and the work, and it should be a lot of fun. So please, one more thing. As the audience, you are the audience of a live television show. That's kind of what you guys are doing here. And I have a audience director here, Ryan Matlack, who will let you know when it's appropriate. So keep an eye on that. And thank you very much.
Today on Good Morning Europe, updates on top news stories from around the world, the progress of the Spanish expedition navigating the globe, a live report from the Italian wars, the inside scoop on the Diet of Worms. Plus, we bring you the latest in arts and society as we sit down for an interview with the renowned Michelangelo. Explore the wonderful new delicacies of chocolate and hear from new musical acts. From the Renaissance Network, this is Good Morning Europe for May 5th, 1521, with your hosts, Lord David McPhee and Lady Clarissa, live from Studio 2B in Edinburgh, before a live studio audience. This is Good Morning Europe.
Good morning, Europe, and welcome to our show on this May 5th, 1521. I'm Lord David McPhee.
And I'm Lady Clarissa McGinnis. We are thankful that you have joined us for our show today.
You know, Clarissa, even though it's been a week, all of Europe is still buzzing about what took place at the Diet of Worms last week.
I know, that is like the big story. And to give some background to it, we have with us today a historian who's going to tell us something about the ideas and life of Martin Luther.
We welcome here today Dr. Wilhelm Myers. Today celebrated an anniversary of sorts. It's been 4 years, almost to the day, since Martin Luther nailed his extraordinarily controversial 95 Theses on the door of that church in Wittenberg, Germany. The effects of that action have been felt all over Europe, from Germany to Italy, across the Channel even, to England. And the verbal and literary sparring that's raged regarding this priest has finally come to a head this past week at Worms in a huge ecclesiastical and political assembly. Later, we'll have a first-hand look at what happened at that auspicious gathering. But in the meantime, I'd like to take a look at the events and ideas that have led up to here, from Wittenberg to Worms, so to speak. I'm seated here today with notable theologian and historian, Dr. Wilhelm Myers, to give us a picture of Martin Luther. Dr. Wilhelm, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Lord.
Please enlighten us on who exactly is this Martin Luther.
Yes. Well, back in the year 1517, in October, Luther posted his 95 Theses on the door of the Wittenberg church. It was a set of propositions that he had written for the purpose of an otherwise normal academic debate on the sale and use of indulgences. As you know, indulgences are purchased by the laity for the forgiveness of sin.
Yes, that's a common practice by the Vatican when they need to raise money.
Well, yes, but that was the problem. Luther sent a personal copy of these theses to Archbishop Albert of Mainz, along with a request to stop the preaching and practice of indulgence selling. Now, these theses quickly went viral in Germany once he posted them to his Facebook.
Yes, we've seen that. What happened after that?
Well, at his Augustinian Orders of regular scheduled chapter meeting months later in April of 1518. Now, this meeting is regularly held at the Heidelberg Brewery and Tap Room. He presented a fuller explanation of his theology. The concern, how is man justified before a holy God? His thesis can be found on his blog under the Heidelberg Disputation. He describes it this way. A believer is either a theologian of glory or a theologian of the cross. Either the church reforms society and recognizes God's invisible providence through what the church accomplishes, or the church of believers will submit to God's revelation about mankind's salvation through the suffering on the cross. Instead of understanding God through what man views as good, powerful, and wise, a theologian of the cross will submit to God's written word as the revelation and believe that the weak and foolish message of the cross, where alone the suffering Savior sacrificed himself to atone for sin, that is the power of God in salvation.
That's all very interesting, but how was this received by the church?
Well, the church called him to meet with Cardinal Cajetan in Augsburg in October of 1518. And he was called to recant his writings from the past year, which he refused to do. Luther continued to deny that the church is empowered to distribute as indulgences this infinite treasury of merits that Jesus earned on the cross. Now, on this point, Luther directly contradicted a papal bull from the year 1343.
And that was quite a dangerous position for Luther to take. I'm sure he infuriated Rome and the other authorities. How has he managed to keep his liberty?
Well, Frederick the Wise, the Elector of Saxony, has refused to surrender Luther to church authorities.
I see, and this is now a roiling controversy across church and all of politics. What happened then?
Well, a public debate was called and held in the summer of 1519 in the city of Leipzig. And after a bitter dispute arose between a colleague of Luther's and Johann Eck, a theologian from Ingolstadt, a defender of the Roman Church. The entire controversy still at that point was an academic matter. But now the church is pushing its #heretic tweet, and they're trying to get YouTube to ban Luther. Now, Pope Leo X has issued a papal bull. In June of 1520 he did, and gave Luther 60 days to recant, or even to be excommunicated. So when Luther received that, almost to the day, he posted a video, this was just last December, and he burned that bull, and even a copy of the canon law. This video has also gone viral, as most people have seen. Now, Luther was excommunicated in January, but instead of being arrested immediately, he was called to this imperial diet at Worms, which was held just last month. And there again, we will learn he has refused to recant his writings.
So, where is Luther now?
From the last I understand, he is scheduled to return home today, and he's still under the safe conduct pass that the emperor and the pope gave him to get to Worms.
Well, thank you so much for that highly informative account of the most famous Martin Luther. Coming up, we'll have the latest headlines, but first, this message from one of our sponsors. You're watching Good Morning Europe on the Renaissance Network.
The Royal London Linen Merchants are announcing their first annual fall handkerchief sale. Stock up today. Your sleeves will thank you.
Where Lady Alice Owens can give us the latest headlines.
Lady Clarissa. In England, Henry VIII has been earning popular laurels. First, the Bowling Green at his extensive palace in Whitehall has been completed. Now the London nobility can enjoy this popular sport in the comfort of Henry's backyard. That is, if you're lucky enough to get an invitation. Edward Stafford, the third Duke of Buckingham, wasn't so lucky. King Henry had him executed just recently for conspiring to take the throne. At least that's how the story goes. However, the English king has been earning kudos abroad too. Pope Leo X just bestowed the honorary title of Defender of the Faith upon Henry on account of his recently published book, Assertio Septem Sacramentorum, or for those in our audience not clerically educated, Defense of the Seven Sacraments. This is the book Henry wrote refuting Dr. Martin Luther's revolutionary new theological ideas. And speaking of the infamous Dr. Luther, I know all of Europe is abuzz with the news of last week's Diet of Worms in Germany. There, Dr. Luther appeared before Emperor Charles V himself and the Pope's legate to answer for his heretical teachings and writings. That papal legate has graciously taken time out of his busy schedule to be with us today. His Holiness, Cardinal Girolamo Alejandro, will be interviewed by our very own in-house theological expert, Mistress Sarah Sotheby.
I'm Sarah Sotheby, here with an exclusive interview from His Reverence Cardinal Alexander, fresh from Wittenberg. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today, Cardinal. Would you be so kind as to tell me what was the setting of the Diet of Worms?
Of course. Our Holy Roman Emperor, Charles V of his name, called for an assembly, with the solemn concurrence of His Holiness Pope Leo X of his name, with the Bishop of Worms hosting. The assembly was both of ecclesiastical and imperial nature.
I understand that Worms was chosen because it is a free city and therefore a neutral ground for some of Luther's more questionable principles.
Yes, criminals are often cowardly. Luther himself demanded a statement of good faith from our exemplary emperor.
Tell us, what was your conclusion regarding Martin Luther?
He is an outlaw and a heretic. There's no doubt in the mind of the Mother Church. The man would not refute even one of his prolific seditions, books, and tracts.
So you're telling me that he stood by his claims and professions?
We gave Luther every opportunity to repent and recant. After only a day of meditation, he still refused to redeem himself.
After this, then what happened?
Rome is ever merciful. For a week, honorable theologians, not least myself, argued with him. The stubborn German prince would not retire from his stance.
So how did this all end?
Naturally, Martin Luther summed it up with one defiant statement. Here I stand. I can do no other. God help me. Amen.
Well, I know you have a very busy schedule, Cardinal. Where are you off to next?
I'm heading to Brussels in order to extinguish the misguided rebels who have adopted Luther's dangerous trends.
Thank you for taking the time with us today, Cardinal. I'm Sarah Sotheby reporting. We will be back after this break. This is Good Morning Europe on the Renaissance Network.
Jacob.
What?
Jacob.
What?
You're supposed to be working on your painting.
I am. I'm just meditating right now.
Jacob, what's wrong? You've been staring at that canvas for weeks.
I don't know. I just can't stay awake. I'm just losing it. I'm just out of energy.
You know, yesterday I was down at the Frugal Friendly Market, and the ladies were gathered around a new display of beans they called coffee that came all the way from South America. Wake up!
I'm here. What? I didn't do it. What? Well.
Anyway, they talked about how they go about doing their chores with zing and even Ingrid said that when she drinks a cup of coffee on Sunday mornings, she can stay awake through almost the whole sermon.
The whole sermon?
Yes, can you believe it?
That's amazing.
Maybe we should try it.
Sure, yeah. Okay, yeah.
1 week later.
Jacob, here's another cup of coffee for you.
But that's my 5th cup today.
Oh, well, Jacob, I mean, it's just given you a whole new focus for painting.
It sure has. It sure has.
Balboa
Coffee, the bean with a zing.
Well, we're back now with a very special guest from the world of art. Sir Malcolma of Houston will be speaking with this renowned painter, sculptor, architect, and poet. He currently holds the highly enviable Medici patronage, the talented Michelangelo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Malcolma of Houstonia reporting from Florence. We're here in the studio of the most well-known artist of our day, Michelangelo Buonarroti. Thank you, Master Buonarroti, for giving us a few moments out of your busy schedule.
You're very welcome, Malcolma. It is my pleasure.
Tell me, how is your health these days? I heard that you suffer chronic bouts of illness which slow your work.
Well, I have been battling poor health at times, but thankfully I am getting my color back.
Well, that's good to hear, considering just a few years ago you had a brush with death.
Oh yes, the Sistine job. I fell off the scaffolding. You know, climbing up and down those ladders is not done easily.
Speaking of the Sistine Chapel project, things were really looking up for you then.
Well, some do say it was the height of my career.
I understand that now you've returned to what you really love best, sculpting.
Ah yes, deep down I'm a real chiseler at heart.
Many have noted that your sculptures are almost entirely in the nude. Why is that?
Well, you see, I work with a chisel and a mallet, not needle and thread.
Well, Michelangelo, we're all out of time. Thank you so much for your gracious hospitality.
You're most welcome.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be visiting the less well-known Vito Talamini of Talamini & Sons, who were hired to lay the Sistine Chapel floor. Until then, arrivederci.
Now it's time for a station break. You're watching Good Morning Europe on the Renaissance Network.
Do you suffer from chronic cough, headaches, vertigo, or shortness of breath? Does pain from various maladies affect your ability to live the life you want, or prevent you from spending time with your children? Ask your physician about laudanum by Paracelsus, an opium tincture that may be right for you. Laudanum can restore your ability to function as a productive member of Renaissance society. Laudanum is not for everyone and should only be used under a physician's care. Laudanum is not approved by the European Drug Association for the treatment of any disease. Side effects may include dizziness, sleepiness, addiction, vertigo, euphoria, nausea, shortness of breath, muscle spasms, headaches, vivid dreams, nightmares, loss of consciousness, impaired judgment, false sense of bravery, convulsions, coma, and death. Use caution if operating horse or carriage while taking laudanum. Do not partake of mass while taking laudanum. Overdose can cause death. If you experience false heartbeat, slow heartbeat, or irregular heartbeat, contact your physician immediately. If you experience your kilt sliding down unexpectedly, contact your tailor immediately. If you experience a false sense of bravery, enlist in the army of the Holy Roman Empire. Laudanum by Paracelsus. Only the dose makes the poison.
Once again, we have reached the top of the hour, and it's time for another news update. Let's go to Lady Owens, now at the news desk.
Thank you, Clarissa. We now turn to Italy for an update on the events of the war between Pope Leo X and the French, led by King Francis I. War correspondent Ludovico De Gallo is on the scene with more information. Ludovico, to you.
Many thanks, Lady Alice. I am now standing 10 miles southeast of Milan, near the quiet town of Mariano. However, since this morning, this village has been anything but quiet. Ever since the ruthless Pope Julius II and his Holy League captured Milan 4 years ago from the French, its location and strategic importance has been vital to the papal seat. But since Pope Julius has now passed, the powerful nation of France is again set on recapturing Milan for herself. With their king, Francis I, at the head of his army, the French have again invaded Italy and have set their sights on Milan. A victory here, and the French will have a powerful foothold in Italy. And now the forces of Pope Leo and Julius and King Francis have met here at Mariano for battle. The two armies have been in vicious combat since this morning. My cameraman and I had to leave the battlefield due to the fact that there was constant cannon fire. That cannon fire, I do believe, has also taken a heavy toll on the Italian forces. The two armies are engaged in a marshy countryside about southeast of here, which obviously favors the French cannon over the slow Italian infantry. But I spoke with Commander Massimalo, and he is sure that his men will pull through. For the most part, they have. The battle has been at a bit of a stalemate since this morning, with neither side giving ground to the other. But time will tell if the Swiss can hold on much longer. I do believe that was Captain Vogel at the head of that company. We must hasten to pursue.
We'll stay tuned to Ludovico for more updates as they come in. Lady Clarissa?
Thank you. One of our favorite parts of the show is the food segment. Chef Charlotte Amette is here with us today from the Vatican to show us a recipe with a new exotic food ingredient. How are you, Chef?
Very well, Clarissa. Thank you for having us on your show today.
It is our pleasure. So show us about your creation here.
Well, today, my assistant and I will be making a cake. But not just any cake. This cake will be made with a new ingredient, chocolate.
Chocolate? And what is chocolate?
My assistant, Elizabeth, can best explain. She is the Pope's leading expert in these new dainties. Well, it is a dark, heavenly substance. It comes off the distant shores of the New World, where the natives have been consuming it for generations. However, to process this, the chocolate, the bean is first fermented, then dried, shelled, and ground into a powder. From there, it can be liquefied by heat and made into blocks.
My.
And to these blocks, we add honey to sweeten it. Chocolate is quite bitter on its own, but you'll see, once adjusted, the result is quite addicting.
Sounds very good. Well, please proceed.
First, we will add the flour to the bowl. And now the sugar. Can never have too much sugar. And the baking powder and baking soda to help it rise. The salt. And now, the very special ingredient, cocoa powder. It smells delicious.
I can smell it from here.
And while I'm mixing this, she will get together all of the wet ingredients. 2 eggs. Some oil. to make it, healthy. Let's do water. There we go. Oh, and vanilla. Can't forget the vanilla. More sweetener, Lots of flavor. Mm-hmm. What? Now we add it to the bowl of flour, powder mixture. So if you add them out of order, what happens? Oh, I don't know, but the result would probably be quite diabolical. So we better keep it to this ratio. And then this we will mix all together, and you put it in the pan, and you put it in the oven. But we don't have time to wait for all of that. So, luckily for you, we have made a pretty cake coming here for your enjoyment. Wonderful. Thank you. That's really good. Wow. I will certainly have my servant try that recipe out at home. Thank you, Chef Ament, for showing us this new recipe and that exotic new ingredient. And now for an appropriate message from one of our sponsors.
Introducing mankind's most important discovery. This delicious, delectable morsel from the far shores of South America. Cortez Importers presents its finest product yet. Chocolate. Once you've tasted it, you can't live without it. Oh wait, that's the Dutch chocolate. I want the German.
To return to the front in Italy, where Ludovico De Gallo is reporting live on the latest skirmish between the Pope's forces and King Francis. Ludovico?
Yes, thank you, Lady Alice. As you can see, I have caught up with the group of men, but I have yet to discover who they are and what they are doing so distant from the battle. Excuse me, sir. Pray tell me, what is your name?
Karl Schulstaff.
Karl Schulstaff. By your name, I can tell you're not from these lands.
No.
So, where are you from?
My comrades and I are from Switzerland. We are under the command of Master Massimiliano. We are driving the French from the Papal lands.
And what drives you to fight so far from home?
The Pope has forgiven all our sins and promised us much gold. And from what I understand, he has very much of it.
I'm sure he does. Thank you, Karl. As you can see, a true businessman. But it would seem that not only do man's kingdoms require the constant flow of coin, the kingdom of God is also not far from it. Thank you, Karl.
Ja.
May God protect you. Now, as many of you know, the wars here in Italy have been going on for decades. And you can guess that these wars are not cheap. Therefore, the Pope, being the businessman that he is, has come up with an excellent system. The selling of salvation for coin. And with this coin, he takes and then he uses to fund his wars, such as the one here. Oh, there's Captain Vogo. Seems he has discovered something. Captain, it seems you have found something.
Yes, we have found French munitions over there.
Munitions? What do you
Aye,
mean?
sir. We are on an assignment from Field Commander Massimiliano to locate and destroy the ammunition so that our men in the marshes can continue their onslaught unhindered by cannon fire on the morrow.
Now, where are they? Are they over here?
Aye. They're right over in that yonder clearing. Can you see it?
I cannot see it. I cannot see it.
Try these. Try these.
Thank you. No, sir, I cannot see it yet. Oh my, there we have it. Splendid, Captain. With you in command, this will be a sure victory for the Swiss. Where are the French? Ah! Captain! 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 Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. It seems that the French have pulled off an astounding ambush. A victory here for the French, and it would be a huge boost to French morale, as well as solidifying their claims here in Italy. Excuse me, monsieur. Please tell me, as an enemy of the church, are you at all concerned for the safety of your soul?
Vive la France!
Captain! Look out! Look out! As you can see, a clear victory for the French. With Milan under their belt, they may go all the way to Rome. But as for now, this is Ludovico, signing off. Oh.
Ludovico? We have lost connection with him. I'm sure you will join me in praying a safe return for our audacious war correspondent. Back to you, David.
Thank you. Yes, we trust Signor Ludovico is all right. Next on our program, we will have the special privilege of hearing from some very talented musicians. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the String Sisters. It's Grace, Molly, and Ava, correct? Okay. And how many years have you been performing?
We've been performing for about a year, each individually, but have only recently joined together to perform around the German countryside.
Excellent. And I understand you had the opportunity of performing for His Holiness the Pope. How did that go?
It was a great honor to play in Rome. We're looking forward to continuing to share our appreciation of music with others.
And what can you tell us about the music you'll be playing for us today?
Well, today we will be playing A Mighty Fortress by Martin Luther, the controversial figure.
Okay, we're looking forward to hearing from it. That was delightful. It's a blessing to hear the fruits of your skill and practice.
We're interrupting our normal programming for a moment because we have just received some breaking news. Let's go to Lady Alice, now at the news desk.
We apologize for interrupting our programming, but we have just received important news. It seems as if Dr. Martin Luther, the famous German heretic, has disappeared. For what we can gather, on his way home from Worms, where, as you know, he has been staying since the diet last week, he was intercepted in the forests around Eisenach by a band of armed horsemen and forcibly carried away. Now, we realize that Dr. Luther has made many enemies with his revolutionary ideas, but he has been promised safe conduct to and from the meeting by both the Pope and Emperor Charles. So, news that he has been kidnapped is quite stunning. We have dispatched Sir Malcolm of Houston to the site to see what we can find. Hopefully, we'll soon have more to report. Back to you, Lady Clarissa.
It looks like this is going to be a big news day with the disappearance of Martin Luther. But right now, I have with us Mistress Phoebe Goodwill, who's going to show us, tell us about some history about cake.
Yes, thank you, Lady Clarissa.
Mistress Goodwill, I understand that you're about to share with us the crumbly truth regarding England's current stance on cake. No sugar coating, we promise.
Yes. Well, as you can see, I brought in a slice of cake, and it's probably quite different from the cakes that you or our audience has seen. However, I'm confident that it may hold some of the key features to Europe's status and history and has some controversy at the root.
Well, it certainly is a beautiful centerpiece.
Thank you. For starters, I'd like you to try a little bite of it and tell me if you see anything different about the texture or the flavor.
All right. Oh my! That certainly is different from the sweets that I remember having as a child. The texture reminds me a bit of oats, yet it's light and sweet in a way that I'm not used to.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The oat flavor you're tasting is due to the inclusion of oat flour, which I'm afraid is surrounded by some controversial issues, even such those as the ones in the Protestant Reformation and the ones discussed at the Diet of Worms.
Oat cakes? How was that?
You wouldn't expect it, but these oat cakes are made by papists who call them soul cakes. And they're a way that the Catholics have incorporated doctrine into everyday life, such as baking. And the way they do this is by making these into a superstition and an indulgence by passing them out to the poor, who in turn promise to pray for them that their time in purgatory will be shortened.
Very interesting. Wow, it seems as though something as simple as cake has some very crucial ideas at its core. Where do you see this going in the future?
Well, I'm afraid I cannot promise a resolution in the future too soon. However, I have talked to one of my sources, John Field, and he is writing something he'll be titling Popish Abuses, and he'll be including this in his list. So I can't promise it quick because it's a pretty long document. However, it's encouraging to know that someone's taken notice of it.
Right then, now tell me a bit about the sweetener used here. It's very different from most people are used to.
Yes, that is true as well. What you're probably used to and our audience has also grown up with has been the traditional sweetener of honey. However, this cake was sweetened with also the inclusion of sugar, which has become more available through trades, and it's become very available as well as in terms of baking and around the household. We've come a long way, especially from the Middle Ages, where brides' wedding cakes would be made with calf feet and oysters.
Oh my! That is a big difference.
Well,
Yes.
Mistress Goodwill, we're running out of time here, sadly. Do you have any closing words that our viewers here on Good Morning Europe regarding this controversy?
Yes, I do. That would be great. As far as the trade system goes, sugar is still up in the air, so I'd encourage you all to get a copy of the all-new Manual on Agriculture, in case political turmoil or war prevents the trade system from functioning and you from being able to function in the kitchen and on the farm. So go get your copy. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure.
And with regard to soul cakes, stay reformed, my friends.
That was very informative. Another reason to give chocolate a try. Coming after the break, an update from the Spanish expedition to circumnavigate the globe. You're watching Good Morning Europe on the Renaissance Network.
Pray, friend, can you make this out? These tracts are printed so small, I can't make out if it's a writ from the Pope or a new dissertation from Luther.
Actually, I happen to have a new invention that made the eyes miraculously work. Now you'll never miss the fine print on your indulgences ever again. Here, give it a try.
Amazing! Now I can make sense of all this reforming literature. Thank you.
Pick up a pair of spectacles today and know what you read.
Now we have some word from the Spanish-funded globe-circling expedition which began 2 years ago. Led by the experienced explorer Ferdinand Magellan, the voyage has undergone some amazing and rigorous experiences. Count Manuel Hernando from the Spanish court is here, representing His Majesty King Charles's interests in this potentially lucrative expedition. Count Ferdinand, can you give us some background on Magellan's voyage so far?
In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan approached His Majesty with the proposition that he would find passage to the East Indies by traveling westward. As you know, the Treaty of Tordesillas allows Portugal exclusive rights to the eastern trade routes. Magellan convinced His Majesty that he should establish new trade routes for Spain by circumventing the globe.
That would secure a highly lucrative channel for Spain while also leaving the treaty uncompromised, correct?
Yes, indeed. If successful, Europe will no longer have to suffer Portugal's inflated prices on spices of Asian goods. 5 ships were commissioned and left Seville August of 1519. After 3 months at sea, they landed in Rio de Janeiro Bay in Brazil. The next couple of months, they made their way down the coast of South America and overwintered before rounding continent.
Now, wasn't it during their stay there that Magellan suffered a mutiny?
This is true. 3 of the captains had grown cowardly and wished to return empty-handed. Fortunately, Magellan was able to squash the rebellion and execute those unworthy officers.
But he still had 1 ship that was wrecked and another one that they had to desert.
Magellan made it to the Pacific Ocean with 3 ships in November of 1520, a more than acceptable number considering the rigors and dangers of such a journey.
So what's been their experience in the Pacific so far this year?
In March, they discovered a group of islands called the Philippines. Magellan did much trade with these people and began a process of converting them to the true faith. All our ships carry learned Jesuit priests to bring the light of God to the ignorant heathen in the world.
And what sort of luck has Magellan met with there in the Philippines?
Well, we've recently received word that Ferdinand Magellan was killed by the Philippines during a military action against some fractious tribe. His body was not able to recover.
That is tragic news. A shame to lose so brave an explorer. What of the expedition now?
Magellan will not return from his adventure, but his purpose has been proved. His expedition has reached the Spice Islands and established trading relations. If our ships can make it home with goods, Magellan will forever be honored by Spain. Captain Elcano has taken command of the fleet. He is scheduled to report in today.
Yes, and the Spanish court has graciously agreed to share that broadcast live with us today, right when we get back from this commercial break. You're watching Good Morning Gear.
We have an important announcement here for you. Are you one of those mariners, who accumulate frequent sailing miles? Do you fear some half-witted, grog-chugging idiot on a refuse barge, scratching that prime tongue oil and varnish finish those beautiful boats? Well, now you can sail with confidence with the Merchants Guild Marine Insurance. We offer lifetime benefits for your vessel at affordable rates. Whether you're at sea or at port, the Merchants Guild Marine Insurance has you covered. Offer not available in all countries. Price, participation, and plan may vary. Offer not available to those of the Protestant Reformation. See the Merchants Guild of Venice for details.
Live with us now, we have Magellan's replacement, Captain Juan Sebastian del Elcano, who will shortly be with us. Captain Elcano has been attempting the very first circumnavigation of the globe under the command of the late Ferdinand Magellan. Captain Elcano, can you hear us? Captain Elcano? Can you hear us now?
Yes, you're coming through fine.
Captain, our sympathies on the loss of your commander. I'm sure the loss of Magellan has greatly impacted the morale of you and your men. Tell me, where were you when Magellan was brutally killed?
I was not part of the unfortunate foray against the Lapu. However, the men that returned told me that Magellan fought to the last and was overcome only by superior numbers for Shinpano.
I understand that you lost many men in that incident, and more since in a storm?
Yes, due to the shortage of manpower, we could no longer continue the voyage with our 3 ships. We had to abandon the Conception, setting her afire, and then continue the voyage with the Trinidad and the Victoria.
So, where do you go from here?
Right now we're in Indonesia, filling our hold with clothes. We'll have to leave the Trinidad behind for repairs because she's developed a serious leak. However, I plan to continue the voyage in Victoria, risking the passage of the Indian Ocean.
How so risky?
The Portuguese control the Indian Ocean, the Cape of Good Hope, and will undoubtedly attempt to take us if we're spotted. Also, the weather around the Cape is treacherous this time of year.
Captain Elcano, do you expect to finish Magellan's goal of circumnavigation around the globe? And how long do you think it will take before you return home?
I do believe we will be successful in this ambition. I expect to return to Spain in another 15 or so months.
And what do you hope to attain from this voyage?
Well, the profits resulting from the spices we carry will make us rich. That is, if the king doesn't confiscate it all to pay for his lost ships. But regardless, I may get a coat of arms for it. But I like the image of the globe with the motto, "You went around me first," blazoned upon it.
You are a man at the right place at the right time. Thank you, Captain Juan Sebastian Elcano, for making the time for us during your busy voyage. May God grant you fair winds and following seas.
Our field reporter, Sir Malcolm of Houston, has just arrived on location where Luther was mysteriously seized.
This is Malcolm of Houstonia reporting from Eisenach. Yes, Lady Alice, I arrived here a short time ago. As you can see behind me, the road where Martin Luther was traveling last night, when he was set upon by a group of about a half-dozen masked men and taken away in that direction, according to eyewitnesses. It happened so fast, no one really knows for certain who the kidnappers were. Now, I've been observing the local officials here in the Keystone Precinct, and they seem to be just milling around without any leads or ideas where to go from here. We did contact some of the locals, and we have here with me a peasant woman by the name of Ina Nutting. Tell me, Ina, what happened here?
I know nothing.
Well, what did you see?
I saw nothing.
Well, what do you think?
I think nothing.
All right then. Well, that was less than illuminating. I also have here a local friar. What is your name?
My name is Johann von Stiffen-Johnson.
Well, brother Johann, tell us what you saw.
Well, I was on my way to see a brother in Trafford who was instrumental in discovering a cure for my rheumatism. You see, I suffered a shoulder complaint about 2 years and 4 months ago. You see, as a friar, I must maintain a garden, my own little patch, to sustain myself. I find that I prefer leeks with my cabbages. They seem to add into the digestional issues that seem to happen when you
But
eat the
what
cabbages.
did you see last night, brother?
Last night, well, last night my shoulder was troubled me slightly because I had carried the sack too long. On one side, the sack carries some leek starts for my brother in Trafford.
Yes, undoubtedly. But what about last night?
Last night, oh yes, it was a dark and moonless night. I remember thinking to myself, is it a good thing that I don't have the poor vision? My brother in Trafford rather suffers from bad vision, unfortunately, and I keep urging him to try these newfangled
Thank you so much, brother, but I'm sure you're eager to continue your visit. Where is it you were going?
Well, you see, I have this brother in Trafford who is...
I have one more witness here, a gypsy, who is camped nearby. And what is your name? Rosalie?
Yes, that's right.
Can you tell us what you witnessed last night regarding the abduction?
You assume what happened last night was an abduction.
Well, from what I can gather, I don't know what happened. Can you shed some light on this mystery?
Well, my family and I are camped in the woods yonder. It was a dark night, but we don't mind the dark, like other people.
And did you see any suspicious activity last night?
Define suspicious. Most people consider my people very existence as suspicious.
Yes. Did you see anything involving Dr. Martin Luther?
I don't know anything about the quarrels of law-abiding citizens, but I did see a humble traveler with some companions pass by here last night, heading northeast.
And did anything transpire among these travelers?
They passed beyond my sight, conversing quietly amongst themselves. Then...
Yes, then what happened?
I did not see anything. It is best for us to remain on the fringes, minding our own business,
Yes,
hoping
Miss.
others do the same for us.
Yes, Miss Rosalie, I understand and appreciate your discretion. I also perceive that you're a particularly acute young lady. I'll wager that you observe more than you admit to. One observation a person could make is that people who mind their business do more toward keeping the law than righteous, self-appointed vigilantes.
Perhaps. Perhaps I heard something last night. Perhaps I heard hoofbeats. Many hoofbeats. Cries. Then the clamor receded into the distance. Northeast.
And what direction did the hoofbeats come from?
Northeast. They met the travelers in the same direction in which they were traveling, not from Vernes.
Thank you so much, young lady. Now that is quite interesting, David and Clara. Most people here are assuming a sinister motive on the part of Pope Leo or Emperor Charles. After all, the Emperor's edict following the Diet did make Luther an outlaw and called for his arrest and death. Yet there seem to be some facts that just don't add up. What is the sanction of Rome and the Empire? Why do this secretly? Well, I've tried to ask some questions and all I get is silence, except for some piano music.
Looks like we're approaching the end of our program today. But before we leave, we are privileged to hear some charming music from a young and coming musician from the Paris Academy of Music, Lady Juliette de Blois.
And what are you going to play for us today, lady?
Well, I am going to play Deck thyself, my soul with gladness.
Sounds very lovely. Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you for performing, and please do keep up the good work.
Well, today has certainly been an exciting one, with our reports from around the world, beautiful music, war news, delicious inventions, and not to mention the disappearance of Europe's most well-known priest.
We are glad that you have attended us today and witnessed all these amazing events with us. Don't forget to join in next time for Good Morning Europe. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I hope you were all well entertained. After we clear up here, we're going to head downstairs. Actually, as soon as you get up, you may head downstairs and we'll participate in some dessert. And I know there was something else I wanted to say, and I can't remember. So anyway, thank you again, and hopefully we'll see you next year.